ՀԿ-ի Հայաստանում 374211 այսքան մարդ է արտագաղթել ՀԿ-ի Հայաստանից վերջին 10 տարում 7 միլիարդ այսքան է կազմել ՀԿ-ի Հայաստանի պետական պարտքը 30 այսքան տոկոս մարդ գործազուրկ է ՀԿ-ի Հայաստանում Սիրելի ժողովուրդ մենք մեր բաց ձեռքերով ուղարկարվորել ենք ՀԿ-ի Հայաստանը և կառուցելու ենք մերը Վերջին 10 տարում քայլելով Երևանի փողոցներում, Հայաստանի մարզերում ժողովրդի դեմքին նկատել եմ հուսահատություն, տխրություն, աղթող ժողովուրդ, դու շփիտես բերել Հայաստանին, դու շփիտես բերել Հայաստանին, դու շփիտես բերել Հայաստանին Կոչս ազգային ժողովում ներկայացված բոլոր խմբագրությունների պատգամավորներին մայիսի 1-ին չզբաղվել արգածախնդրությամբ մայիսի 1-ին քվեարկել ժողովրդի տեխնատուի օգտին մայիսի 1-ին չխլել մեր ու ձեր թանկարժեք ժամանակը որովհետև մենք այդ ժամանակը ծախսելու ենք մեր երազանքների Հայաստանը կառուցելու վրա
There has been a lot of conversation about who these candidates are going to be. We do know that Nikol Pashinyan will be the candidate being pushed forward from the Yelk faction. The ARF Tashlan Institute has also agreed as well. We believe the Zarukyan Alliance has also said the same. We're going to come back with more context and information as we go on. We're going to take you live with simultaneous interpretation. We now have Dikran Avinian on the stage.
My dear people, we joined in this movement by unique communities from the Republic of Armenia, the councils of communities and mayors of communities. I would like to read now some names. The region of Aragatsottan community Hatsik. The region of Aragatsottan again, Voskevas community. I mean the community councils and the mayors have joined the people's movement. Ghazaravan community has also joined. Arsni communities here. Our companions are now the representatives of the Armenian community in Lobna, Russian Federation, the mayor of the community, Gopovica community from Poland. I mean, our Armenian compatriots have joined us from that community. This movement has been supported by many different parties in the process. We've essentially been supported by all the groups, age groups of our society, all the layers of our society, all different citizens of the Republic of Armenia. And it is my special gratitude has to go right now to all those women and girls due to whom, whose efforts this movement has gained this significant momentum. And I'd like to invite right here, right now, a member of Civil Contract Political Party, Lucine Arakelian. The proud citizens of the Republic of Armenia. Greetings. When I made the first step during this movement, my step, I did not have a lot of hope. My hope was not big because we've seen many losses. We've lost many times. every time, staying silent every time. Every time when they wanted to stop our struggle, every time when we wanted to raise the most important issues, the issues the most important for the whole country, issues in the educational sector, for example, we would be more reticent. And today I have to say that this incomplete hope of mine has turned into confidence. Confidence because for years our, in parentheses, literate, semi-literate officials, public officials, would bring their perception of their experience, life experience, into the life of the country, into the life of the generations by providing not very high quality education to our generations, by turning our pedagogues into mendicants, and by intimidating the people that they would lose their jobs, for example our parents, or telling our parents that their children would not graduate from universities because they might be related somehow to opposition, or when our students graduated half-educated, they hampered the process of proper education provision to our children, and still they were mistaken even after doing all that, because as any seed has the strength to sprout by cracking in the soil and shooting out from it, the same way we have you here. So be very careful. Be careful, because the seeds of freedom have broken through the environment of fear and have already started shooting into the air, sprouting. Because we managed to find the way out, because we managed to use solidarity, love, and open and raised hands to pave our own path towards to find this hour of joy for us, and we have created that for us, and I'm sure that we're going to stand firm for it. And I'm sure that for every second of this hour in the future, we will feel ourselves better, and we will always be ready not to give out this achievement of ours. We are citizens of dignity. We are going to teach this approach to the teachers, to the doctors, to inspectors, to everyone, to all the members of our society. That's what we're going to teach all the people of Armenia, what it means to be a dignified citizen. So viva the citizens of the Republic of Armenia. Those who are aware, those who are knowledgeable of the situation, those who have recognized the victory. I'm sure that in the future we will be able to struggle for this again. Thank you.
You are listening and watching ΣիվիլΝեթ TV on YouTube as we bring you live from Republic Square in Yerevan. You've just heard from Lույս who just spoke. Dikran Avinian is currently on stage. I want to provide some context as to what we're going to be talking about here today. From the perspective of what is happening throughout Armenia, as well as we'll get back to the interpretation in a moment. The movement now has reached an interesting place where on Tuesday a vote is going to take place to determine the prime minister of the next prime minister of Armenia. The movement, the opposition movement, the group here on stage, they expect 3 votes ultimately in parliament, and the timing and sequence of these votes is going to be critical to the movement's success. We're going to talk about those votes in just a little bit and provide some context as to what is important about those, how those are going to play out, and what the potential impact is going to be going forward. The first is voting for prime minister. The Republican Party has suggested they will not block the voting process. This is a statement they made earlier today. They have not yet indicated whether they will vote in Pashinyan's favor or not. So that remains to be seen. But again, the first vote is the voting for the prime minister. The second vote expected from Parliament is about special elections. If special elections are agreed to prior to an agreement on modifying the existing electoral law, then elections will be held under the old laws with the old monitoring systems and might produce the same old results. As we have heard throughout the course of this movement, free, clear, and transparent elections are words that have come from Nikol Pashinyan, they've come from Armin Grigorian, they've come from Deacon Armenian. So again, that is going to be a very important part of what the opposition is going to look to get to in Parliament. If the votes don't happen in that order, that could lead, again, as we said, to the same system producing some of the same results, which would look to be a defeat for the opposition movement. Now, whether the Republican Party is ready to work with Pashinyan on modifying the electoral legislation prior to deciding on new elections is going to be key to how the movement consolidates its successes. Again, these are going to be very important points to pay attention to over the next few days. It's going to be interesting to see how Tuesday plays out. We're going to hear a lot of rhetoric here tonight. There'll be, but again, this will be coming from the opposition. A lot of the intrigue is going to remain on the part of the Republican Party and what their actions are going to be, how they are going to behave, and what steps they are going to take come Tuesday during the vote. Again, earlier today, the Republican Party suggested that they will not block the voting process, but they have not yet indicated whether they will vote in Pashinyan's favor or not. And so that is going to be what we are waiting for. Now let's go back to the stage and we'll go back live to simultaneous interpretation.
The answer is calm down, hashtag. And so that means no one can ever hamper your vote casting process. No one can be oppressive over it. But on the opposite, this is, for the last 20 years of independent Armenia, is the greatest opportunity that each of us has to use. This is the opportunity that independently from any political belonging of ours, we are going to make freely, openly, independently. And of course, in the honor of victory and all of us, I'd like to once again recognize that in this information war, we've won already. There is one more thing that I have to say and then I'll finish. In this war on information, we would hear very often the following statements, that there are anti-Russian statements made here in the square. They would even compare us to Maidan. I'd like to mention that if the inglorious strategy held by the former government has anyhow resulted in a situation for certain social groups of the Republic of Armenia and also brought to a situation in which these social groups would be randomly or sometimes opposed to Russian Federation, then in this case, this is not the way that it's going to be done. And respectively, viva the revolution of love and solidarity. Dear friends, those who've lost their friends or relatives can meet at the watchtower, clock tower. And now there are over 160 NGOs joining the movement under the network of civil partnership and cooperation. Congratulations and welcome. We have to greet, first of all, the Armenian community of Strasbourg that will be holding a small rally before the European Parliament tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Tomorrow, in Glendale community, United States, we are going to have tens of thousands of citizens rallying, tens of thousands. Armenians, citizens of Armenia, are going to go in the streets of Glendale. And now I would like to invite here member of Yerevan City Council, and also member of Civil Contract Political Party, Alex Simonyan. Good afternoon. Good evening. I'll be very short, really, because my voice is not good, and we're all waiting for Nikol Pashinyan's speech. So that is why there are two topics that I'd like to speak to about. One facetiously, the other seriously. First of all, these days we often discuss that very different people say very bad things and have done very bad things previously and now these days in the Republic of Armenia. I would like to remind once again that we are not going to apply any political vendettas, and there will be no vengeance, and that is why I want all of them to remember that if any of them, of those, dares to violate the law, they will be punished with the strictness, all the strictness of our legislation. And there is one more very important thing. Just seconds ago, an international media organization was taking an interview from me, and they asked a very interesting question. Okay, several days have passed already. What are you doing? I'm saying we are celebrating. This is a festivity. We are truly celebrating, and that is why we're so open. We're celebrating a new form of governance in Armenia, a governance that has been well earned by these people. We have to festively celebrate the fact that the former government has left. I'd like to remind all of you once again, remember, 5-10 years later, remember, this is your victory. Each of you has won this, and these victories will be many, believe me. Remember, people, this is just the beginning. Thank you. And to continue, what I said, I would like to announce especially that on the 1st of May, we are going to have a big celebration in Yerevan. Big celebration as people from all the regions, villages, cities are going, our compatriots are going to come to Yerevan in order to celebrate with us the appointment of Nikol Pashinyan as the Prime Minister of Armenia. And now I'd like to give the floor to member of Civil Contract Political Party and MP, not MP, but a member of Yerevan City Council, Zari Gadian. Dear friends, please bring down the posters and the flags so that people standing behind you can also see the stage. Greetings, my beloved people. And the fact that we have won is already a fact. And I hear many questions what the next steps are going to be, what are your programs, what is your strategy, etc. I would like to mention one of the most important, I would say maybe the most important thing. I'd like to remind you about that after the interim government in the Republic of Armenia, there will be all the favorable conditions in order to establish and organize free and fair elections, transparent elections. We have to remember that we are here as one, and just the same way we are going to go and vote. Why? Because we have, first of all, to confute all those people who left their impact in our perception of legality and lawfulness, who would doubt that we will be able to act in accordance with our constitution or organize an election in accordance with our constitution and the electoral code, who doubt that we would vote the real candidates that were really elected. That is why I am urging everyone, do not be naive, do not believe that they will refrain from their vicious actions so easily. They will not. They will not refrain from bribes, pressures, oppression, deceitfulness. Just close the doors on their faces. Close the doors on those who would try to oppress you, on those who would try to press on you. That's why I'm urging everyone, dear citizens, on the day when the elections to the National Assembly of the Republic of Armenia are announced, remember these words. Remember about the presence of all those powers that still exist in the Republic of Armenia. Remember the actions of all the politicians. Remember the promises of all the people, as well the deeds thereof, and as one, go and cast your vote. Independently from whether you feel sick that day, you're not in a good mood, remember, it depends on you. The success of this process depends on you. And who are we? We are the citizens of the Republic of Armenia.
You are watching the live public rally from Republic Square in Yerevan. It is back in Yerevan after 2 days on the road, going through Gyumri, Ijevan, Dilijan, as well as Vanazor. Dikran Avinian is on stage. ＳivilNeTi is going to bring you live interpretation, simultaneous interpretation, as well as some commentary and context. We will be talking about the voting process and procedures coming up, some of the expectations of what can or may take place, and we will help provide some context as to what has been going on in Yerevan and in Armenia. Again, you are watching SivilNeTi. We thank COAF for the simultaneous interpretation services. Now let's go back to the stage to hear more.
Good evening. I know you feel I'm not asking. In fact, there was a little bit of discomfort previously, but I'm sure that you're all standing beside us. My friends, I really need to save my voice, but there are a couple of very important announcements that I have to make. And the first, I've always said that I love you. I'm really a fan of yours, really. There's no such other people in the world. Second. Many people ask, should they be paying the utilities or not? Well, first of all, there was this gas inspector who arrived in my home, well disappointed, telling me like, pay, otherwise I will stop the supply of gas to your house. Well, he'd heard of it somewhere, so I'm asking you now. This is nothing of capricious being capricious. This is just civil disobedience. And this is one of the expressions of civil disobedience that we're applying here. Let me assure you that each of you, apart from being in the streets, apart from standing in the backyards, apart from doing what you're doing, you should also express that way of civil disobedience. Of course, we've been quite submissive to these authorities of the Republic of Armenia, but it's done. It's over. So after they elect Nikol Pashinyan on the 1st of May, after that we will all pay for the utilities. Without any further ado, I love you. Thank you. At this moment, they've installed big screens in Yerevan community following our rally. Let us greet them. Right at this moment, while we're talking here in Canada, in Ottawa, they're starting a big rally. Let us also greet them. Also in Toronto. And given we spoke about our compatriots in Canada, I would like to applaud to a world-famous actress, Armenian. It is a wonderful moment indeed. I do not believe in miracles, but apparently I have to, as this is miraculous. My dearest Armenian people, my dearest citizens of the Republic of Armenia, wherever you are at this moment, if you knew what I've been feeling for these 3 days, if you only knew, really implausible. But if I were not in Armenia, I would not understand indeed. I wouldn't have understood what happened in such a short period of time, because the revolution took place in such a short period of time. I wouldn't have understood the real value thereof, because we would see some photography maybe there in our countries in diaspora, but we wouldn't understand. We would feel the real power of the people as we do now. So your approach, your belief, your credibility that it is really possible, indeed possible, to change something inside Armenia. Indeed it is possible to understand. I'd like to congratulate you, first of all, for everything that you have done, for the steps that you've taken. But I'd also like to congratulate you, not only on my behalf, but also on behalf of all my friends who still follow this process in diaspora, following everything that's been happening in Armenia for the last 2 weeks. So your revolution was done by you, with your voice, with your will, with your desire, indeed. Each of you, individually, with the actions that you have taken, with the hope that you've worshipped with, you have really made this revolution in Armenia has future because of that. So, obviously, why would you go? Nothing would happen, nothing's going to change in Armenia. I would hear this many times. A lot has changed in Armenia, and it has changed already, and the voice of the people is in the echo of that change. And we've heard and will continue hearing that this is a velvet revolution. And there's one more thing that I have to tell you. When I was walking in the streets with Nicole, I would see faces I haven't seen so many times through so many visits of mine to Armenia. I've never seen so many smiling faces. And that is, this revolution is not a velvet, well, it is a velvet revolution, but this is also the revolution of smiles. I can see that smile in your eyes, that joy in your eyes. You've believed, and I have believed. So your will, your dignity, your independence has been well earned. And the government finally understood, the authorities finally understood what you wanted and what you always want. And now I have to address the representatives of the government, as well as all the remaining political parties, factions of the National Assembly, or those resisting this movement. If Serge Sarkisyan left, resigning, well, he did something really good. And I'm sure that he understood some things very well. But Serge Sarkisyan also said one thing that was really of great surprise to me, and I'd like to repeat what he said. He said, I was wrong, Nicole was right. And respectively. The Republican Party, now not having Serge Sarkisyan anymore, not having a leader, has to respect the word of the leader, has to adhere to the word of the leader. As Serge Sarkisyan could have left the authority without saying that Nicole is right and he is wrong. I don't know why he said that, but provided he has, his followers, every Republican has to understand has to know that Nicole was right. Nicole, being an individual, being a citizen of Armenia, managed to raise the voice of the people, and the people believed in Nicole. My word here is not political at all, but it could be observed as such. Nikol Pashinyan gave you the ability that you used, the opportunity that you used by your own will. And that means we all, being the representative of the movement, have the privilege to speak on our own. And Nicole represents your voice now, and I'd like to ask, who would you like to see as a prime minister? So you understand now that Nikol Pashinyan can take that burden on his shoulders. He has already taken this responsibility, and I'm sure he will be able to bear it. But you should also know that I had the really great privilege to see, to feel every second of his presence and understand how he feels this responsibility, how he feels he's going to take this responsibility. He's human, and humans can be mistaken. But if you are mistaken, you always have the chance to correct. Are you ready to stand next to him to correct? And so, your obligation has not been fulfilled yet, neither mine nor anybody else's here in Armenia, as we have a lot to do throughout the whole month of May, or maybe later, as we have to understand that nothing's going to change very quickly in the coming year. But I understand that Nikol Pashinyan promises change on your behalf during your demonstration. It is through your demonstration that you are going to nurture and give him sufficient power in order to conduct these changes. Will you promise that? And so we will be meeting very frequently then. Not only in this circumstances, in this format, but I'm sure through different small meetings in the regions that I will continue visiting here in Armenia. And I'd like to once again very clearly state that our actions, your actions, are worth it. I'm very grateful to you for what you have done, for what you've believed in. You have started, you have proceeded, you are coming to the victorious end of it. And I'd also like to extend my gratitude to the political parties who understood that they have to represent the voice of the people, and there's no sense, it makes no sense to do something that has nothing to do with the people, and that is why they have to remember this connection, this relation all the time. And Nikol Pashinyan will be elected as Prime Minister. All of us, without any falsification, transparently, openly and fairly, will start working in this country. So long live Armenian people, and we'll continue smiling, do not forget. Smiles that have saved this nation. I've seen in Yerevan, your eyes shining, let that shine be given also to your children. So all the best and good luck.
You were just listening to the words of Artsine Khanjan, actress from the diaspora, who has arrived in Armenia. She spoke previously as well in Gyumri and in Vanadzor. Right now, Dikran Avinian is on stage at the public rally taking place in Yerevan. Arsine was reflecting on the work taken here by the audience, by the protesters. What we're going to also be doing here is looking ahead over these next 2 days. Tomorrow is the day of nominations for the role of Prime Minister. Tuesday will be the vote. As we mentioned earlier, the Republican Party in a statement today suggested that they will not block or disrupt the voting process. They've indicated that they will not be nominating their own candidate, but they have not yet indicated whether they will vote in Pashinyan's favor. Again, this does open it does open a lane to look at this in a couple different ways, and how the Republican Party is behaving as it relates vis-a-vis the opposition movement, the protest movement. They do still have the majority of seats in the parliament at 58 seats. When you do the math and you find that the ARF Taşnaksuçun party is going to support Nikol Pashinyan, as they mentioned, if the Zarukyan alliance is going to support Nikol Pashinyan's candidacy, there you have 7 votes from the ARF, you have 31 votes from the Zarukyan alliance, that then gets added to the 9 votes from the Yelk faction. That right there adds up to 47 votes. With the 58 votes by the Republican Party, that would require 6 votes to change hands. So we're going to discuss a little bit about what's going to happen and come up. Arad Mirzoyan has now taken the stage. Let's go back to the interpretation and hear what he has to say.
Good evening, free citizens. My dears, what we've done these days, for weeks, what we continue doing these days, is really something crazy. It's a dream. It's a big dream. But through the whole history of humanity, all the achievements, geographical, scientific, social transformations, in the foundation, in the basis of all these, we had dreams. My dear people, just as always, as in any other sector, the old would remonstrate, would oppose, would hamper the new, the dream, the progress. And the same happened here. And it is in this resistance that we finally came to obey, came to a point in which the opposition, the remonstration, the unwillingness of these people to what we want started harming our country, our statehood. And that's what Nikol meant when he said that there should be no other prime minister than me. That's what he said, that in the interim government. That was the best solution at the time. That's what I meant when I was saying that apart from Nikol, voting for any other candidacy would really harm the statehood and might even be considered treason. And today, just here at the stage, I can say out loud, frankly, I cordially welcome and greet all the political parties, and especially the prudence of those in the National Assembly, the readiness to be subdued to your desire, to your will, and not remonstrate and not oppose the interests of Armenia, the readiness to vote for the candidacy of Nikol Pashinyan and not nominate their candidate is really, really appreciated. I would like to once again send this political message so that they understand and you understand. There will be no political vendetta. We are going to go on the path of solidarity and love, and that's the only true way of developing Armenia. We now live in New Armenia And we're going to open a new page together with you and together with them and everyone. I'm not tired of saying there are a number of very good experts, specialists in the lower, mediocre and higher layers of Armenian political and economic life. But moreover, we are going to involve new specialists from abroad, people who have been disappointed, have left the country. They will come back and serve the Republic of Armenia. We are going to collect different recommendations, suggestions from specialists, from everyone, from you. We're going to create a task force in which everyone would come and say, I have this idea, study its feasibility. What we are going to do is the following. First of all, I'm not afraid of saying that we will ensure the political leadership of that process. We are going to show the political will that was missing through these decades from the Republic of Armenia. We're going to demonstrate the necessary political will in order to establish the country of our dreams. And so, I know that you're waiting for Nicole. I'm leaving. That's it. Almost done. I'd like to say one thing that I have already said to my friends, to my companions, to my voters, to the youth. I love you. We will continue being crazy like we have already been. We'll continue dreaming. We will continue being courageous. And let us once again, with these hands raised in the air, build the Armenia of our dreams. Dear friends, it's been now 6 times maybe. I'm going to make this housekeeping announcement.
Armenian on stage now. Again, for those who have been watching the public rallies, you've noticed there's been a number of announcements for people who are either missing or separated. And so as word gets to the stage, the hosts talk and ask individuals to go either to the bulbulags or out to the clock that is there next to the government building. We have hղման on stage right now. We'll go to him in a minute, but first, just wanted to talk a little bit. One of the notes that Arad mentioned, Arad Mirzoyan, who was just up there, had some points about talking about how the new government would move forward, certain task force that they'd initiate, and looking into researching different ways to approach governance. One of the things he highlighted has been something that you hear here in the country, in the city, wherever you happen to be during these times. He highlights that individuals who have emigrated would look to return and work within this new government structure. Not necessarily within government, but within the business sector. Ultimately asking for or looking at and thinking that youth will emigrate back. That is a statement that we have heard here at CivilNet. It's something you hear across the city. People are excited about the potential opportunity that these movements are bringing. And so hope is there. That is something that Arad ended his statement with, talking about the hope that people have in what the future may hold. One of the things that when you look ahead, the difficulties that lie ahead, because there are difficulties. This is not going to be a simple change and then everything with a snap of a finger is different. There is going to be work to be done. There's going to be the issue of how to move forward with the most the shortest term is going to be the election for prime minister. How that is going to take place. Will there be a conversation about changing the electoral laws before the elections take place, or will those electoral laws change afterward? Again, the Republican Party is the current majority, and so it's going to be interesting to see how the Republican Party engages with the ARF Tashnakuchun, the Yelk faction, as well as the Zarukyan Alliance. It's going to be interesting to see how those discussions play out. It'll be interesting to see after that when the vote takes place. Will it take place under the old rules, or will those be modified to allow ultimately for the free, clear, and transparent elections that the opposition movement has been asking for from the beginning, that's been looking for, indicating that the people have lost trust in government, and part of that lost trust is to ensure that their representatives that they gave voice to, that they vote for, are the ones who come into power. And again, this has been statements made by the opposition, by the leaders of this Velvet Revolution as they've moved forward. And so it's going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out. It'll be interesting to see how the country then moves ahead over the coming weeks, months, and years from this movement, from this Velvet Revolution that's taking place. Youth have been very engaged. Youth are leading this movement. We've seen medical students and other students coming in again now that the movement is back in Yerevan. Vikran Avinian is on stage. I do believe we are getting close to Nikol Pashinyan coming back. Let's get back into the interpretation just in a moment once Vikran is done with our next speaker, and we will go from there. But again, we will come back to discuss what is going to happen, what some of the difficulties are going to be in this voting process in Parliament, and then how that is going to play moving forward throughout the country. So again, we have 2 days until that vote takes place. Tomorrow is Monday, where the nominations will officially happen in Parliament, and Tuesday when the vote happens. Again, Vikran Avinian on stage. You're watching CivilNet TV. Let's go to the stage right after Vikran for the continuation of simultaneous interpretation.
I'd like to invite here a member of Civil Contract Political Party, founding member, candidate for Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan. My dear people, the proud citizens of the Republic of Armenia, the last 2 days, you succeeded. You, the citizens of the Republic of Armenia, managed to finally, irreversibly change the inner political situation in the Republic of Armenia. Everything that happened the day before yesterday during our march to Gyumri, and everything that happened during our rally to Yerevan and to Vanadzor on cars, and then to Aparan and then to Yerevan through this auto rally, it made clear that the velvet, not violent, People's Revolution of the Republic of Armenia has won, and that victory is irreversible, incontestable. On the roads, we had to stop several tens of times. We had to stop on the road very many times because we could see people just trying to block the road and see us there, have us there for a short period of time. I mean, the farmers, residents of small towns in 100, in 1,000 would close the road in order to celebrate the victory of the citizens of the Republic of Armenia. The victory that the citizens of Armenia, that each of you has earned with his or her own hands. And in the result, we can see an irreversible process. That process will be recognized unconditionally. And now, three factions of the National Assembly of Armenia, which are the ARF, the Yelk faction, Tzarukyan Alliance, have announced that in elections on the 1st of May they will vote for the people's candidate for the post of the Prime Minister. The Republican Party has decided not to nominate a candidate for the post of the Prime Minister, which means that there is quite big probability that the Republican faction members, at least a part of the Republican Party, will also vote for the candidate that you have nominated for the Prime Minister's post, which means that we, on the 1st of May, have the opportunity to claim our victory de facto and turn it into the jure victory, which means that the candidate that you've nominated will be elected in the post of the Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia. My dear friends, this is who's joined us. Chalo has joined us in our movement. Those who don't know, by the way, Chalo, this dog, has been with us from the first day. It is afraid, I suppose, but it can sit there if it wishes. So, right from the first day, maybe for 2 to 3 kilometers from Gyumri, it joined us and walked with us till Yerevan. Joined us to our march to Yerevan, and it also guarded our camp for 14 days and walked with us for 14 days. And in Yerevan, and the moment we entered Yerevan, it was immediately hit by a car. Even though it still succeeded coming to French Square, Republic Square, but it wouldn't feel so well at the time. So some of our companions, some of our compatriots, specialists, there were some vets found in the square, and they cured the dog. So, by the way, let us thank those who have helped Chalo. Greetings, Armenians. Indeed, we took Chalo to a veterinary clinic, and they fixed its leg, and for which we are really very grateful for everything that they've done for our dog. Glad to see Chalo, indeed, because he was really a good friend, a very good friend, a devoted one. He walked with us all the distance. And so, this story is full of such small, beautiful delicacies, and I was thinking about the following. I was thinking that for tens of years, at least for the last 2 decades, there were certain budgetary funds earmarked and programs developed, and small video clips developed in order to increase the image of the Republic of Armenia in the world. improve the image. And today, by the way, with the help of some observers and specialists, we understood that for the last 20, maybe 25, maybe more years, Armenia was not mentioned in the international press many times as it was mentioned for the last 15 days. As many times it has been mentioned in the international press and international media, only in positive connotations, which is also very important because the world is surprised to what happened here in Armenia. The world is surprised how this small post-Soviet country succeeded in making this process such a smooth and proper manner without a single shooting, without a single victim. But I would like to remind that the whole story of ours here is not over yet, and we should not lose our attention. We have to be very attentive. We have to be much more disciplined, much better disciplined, much more tolerant, full of love and solidarity. We have to be more full with love than we have been for these days. And in this respect, I feel now, I can already feel the energy in the air. I can also see that there is some less energy today, which is good, because our very tense political struggle step by step turns into a festivity, into a celebration, and it is clear that it is the responsibility of each of us here to continue this festivity, and in order not to spoil it with some small, not very pleasant incidents. This has to be a victory of solidarity, a victory of love, victory of lawfulness, victory of future. I'd like to inform that today I had a very effective meeting with the representatives of Russian Parliament. And our meeting was in a very warm environment. We departed as friends by once again recognizing that this political process, for all of our vigilance, will support, does not just threaten the Russian-Armenian friendship and cooperation, but is going to further improve in the nearest future the Armenian and Russian relations, deepening them, developing them, and respectively the state and national interests of the Republic of Armenia in this context shall only flourish. They have only privileges, preferences, and they will of course benefit from that, and that's a very important result in my opinion. So we are going to develop our country in all possible directions. We are going to develop countries, I mean Armenia and Russia together with the European Union, United States, China, to our direct neighbors, Georgia and Iran. And for that, we have all the prerequisites, because you all, for the last 10 days, have managed to increase the international reputation, image of Armenia twice at least. 3 times, I would say. 4 times, I would say. There is a very important announcement that I have to make related to what we're going to do tomorrow. My dear friends, For the last 30 days, I would spend 90% of the day in the streets, in the fields, in the forests, in the squares. And so, in result of all that, there comes a time at which I now have an extreme necessity to, at least for some time, at least for one half of a day, spend in my office. So from tomorrow morning, I have very important work to do at the National Assembly. I have to meet all the political factions' representatives in order to be able to, by the end of the day, provide some information to you and prove that the election of your candidate to the Prime Minister's post is guaranteed on the 1st of May. So now, I'm asking everyone for that. When sitting in my office at the National Assembly of the Republic of Armenia, I would not feel myself comfortable if I know that there are actions of civil disobedience taking place throughout the whole territory of the Republic, and I am sitting in an office and discussing. And that is why, please, I'm asking everyone, tomorrow we'll take a break and no actions of civil disobedience will take place tomorrow, so that we are able, with all our team at the National Assembly in our office, conduct some real political work and bring it to the end, in order to once again claim the de facto and de jure victories of ours and guarantee them. So I'm urging everyone from this moment on to stop together. We will decide the next steps tomorrow, depending on the situation. Anyway, on the next day, from morning, 8 o'clock, 8 a.m., people from all the regions will come to Armenia, to the capital. On that day, we're going to spend our day, and where and how we spend our day on the 1st of May will depend on the situation that will be established politically in the Republic of Armenia. We'll won't be, no, tomorrow we are not blocking any road. As for the day after, I will tell you what to do tomorrow evening. So, provided the situation now really depends on the events that take place every day, respectively we have to plan for every subsequent day on the previous day. And now I would like to very clearly respond or clarify all the rumors circling here in the Republic of Armenia. And I'd like to right here, looking in the eyes of each of you here, with all the responsibility, announce that yes, I'm ready to take that responsibility of becoming the Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia. And I serve the people of the Republic of Armenia, the Armenian people, the people of Nagorno-Karabakh are ready to serve the Republic of Armenia. And so, long live free Armenia, viva freedom, the Republic of Armenia and Armenian people. Free and happy Armenia. Victory.
You have been watching the public rally in Yerevan's Republic Square live. We are coming to you here at CivilNet on the YouTube channel. There has been, that was Nikol Pashinyan on stage with some very interesting words and messages that he put out, things that we hadn't quite yet heard earlier. And so I do want to go over a couple of those. And then I do want to go back in and talk a little bit about some of the things he did address, specifically the vote. One of the things that Nikol said is that he earlier met with representatives of the Russian parliament. And something he said that was very interesting is the following. The meeting ended by recognizing that this political process does not threaten the Russian-Armenian relationship, but will improve and deepen them. Again, we've heard conflicting reports as to, is Russia in favor of this? Is Russia against this movement? Which government does the Russian Federation want to support? So again, Nikol Pashinyan came out and said that he had a meeting with representatives of the Russian parliament and that the meeting ended by recognizing that this political process does not threaten the Russian-Armenian relationship. A point that has, again, been back and forth throughout the course of these few days. And so those were Pashinyan's words. He then said that there will not be any demonstrations taking place tomorrow on Monday, April 30th. He said no acts of civil disobedience will take place during the day. He said that he will be conducting meetings, and in his words, could not do so if there were activities going on outside. So he's asking everyone to take a break. He did announce that there will be a public rally tomorrow evening. Again, that's Monday, and it will take place again at 7 o'clock. He said he'll conduct the meetings and come back and report at night at the rally and let everybody know how those meetings went, what went on in those meetings, and the results of them. So again, there will be no acts of civil disobedience in Armenia tomorrow, Monday, May 30th. Nikol Pashinyan will be conducting meetings, and after those meetings, he will come back to report to the audience and to the people in the evening at the public rally. He also mentioned that he will be meeting with representatives of the other political factions here within the government to determine what their next steps are going to be and how the vote will take place on Tuesday, May 1st. This is something that again, this is something that is going to be very interesting to watch And that is something we want to talk about more. But again, he will be meeting with representatives of the other political factions. That would mean the Republican Party, the ARF Tashnaksuchun, as well as the Zarukyan Alliance. Nikol again represents the Yelk faction within the parliament. A couple things to point out as we're going to go forward once Tuesday, May 1st happens. We can expect that there are going to be 3 votes taking place in parliament. Again, this is after Nikol has his discussions with the other parties. This comes on Tuesday, May 1st. The expectation is 3 votes will take place in parliament. The timing and sequence of these votes is going to be critical, again, to this movement's success if you look at what those issues will be. The first vote is going to be for Prime Minister. We know that. We've heard this and has been placed on the ballot earlier, or has been placed on the agenda for Monday, Tuesday, May 1st earlier. The Republican Party has suggested that they are not going to block the voting process, but they have not yet indicated whether they will vote in Pashinyan's favor. For Pashinyan's statement on the stage, he will be meeting with the Republican Party as well as the other factions, and so tomorrow we might hear a little bit more on how that voting will go. Now, the second vote expected from Parliament, per the view and the perspective of the opposition movement, the protest movement, the Velvet Revolution, the second vote expected from Parliament is going to be about modifying the electoral law. The third vote is about holding special election. Now, the second and third points are very interesting. If the vote happens first to hold special elections before they modify the electoral law, then that vote for special elections will take place under the old electoral law guidelines. So again, if special elections are agreed upon prior to an agreement on modifying the existing electoral law, then we can presume that elections will be held under the old laws with the old monitoring systems and might produce some of the same old results, which from the conversation had by the statements had by this opposition movement would not be a true success for this movement, for this revolution. Now, if the opposite happens and it is the modifying of electoral law is voted on first and then they hold special elections, then you could assume, or not assume, but then you could presume that there will be a change and potentially working towards the free, clear, and transparent elections that the movement, the Reject Serge Initiative, Nikol Pashinyan, and others have been talking about throughout the course of these more than 2 weeks now that the movement has been taking place. Now, whether the Republican Party is ready to work with Pashinyan on modifying the electoral legislation prior to deciding on new elections is going to be key to how the movement consolidates its successes. So, the conversation that Nikol Pashinyan will have tomorrow or tonight with the other government factions will determine only a part of this. It will help to determine who may be voted for and confirmed as the Prime Minister. However, everything that happens beyond and after that is still going to be up to see what happens, how that plays out. Again, the Republican Party does have the majority, and while they may agree to vote for and confirm Nikol Pashinyan as Prime Minister, the other 2 points are going to be interesting to follow. Will they go about voting to modify the current electoral law? Will they go and agree to vote on holding special elections? In what order will that take place? That remains to be seen. Follow us on civilnet.am, our website, to be able to read the articles, both in English and Armenian, that the CivilNet team is producing and providing for context, information, and reporting on the situation on the ground here in Yerevan and throughout Armenia. You can follow CivilNet on Twitter and on Facebook at CivilNet TV, just as you are here on YouTube. We encourage you to follow the conversation. We encourage you to share these posts, the conversation that is happening. Encourage others to come in. We're happy to have provided simultaneous English interpretation. Thank you to the Children of Armenia Fund, COAF, for those services. You've been watching CivilNet TV. We will follow up with more tomorrow, and we will see you again tomorrow night for the public rally on Monday, April 30th, live from Republic Square in Yerevan at 7 o'clock local time.